well over 50 years ago almost. And we still feel the pain of just wanting to go to McDonald's.
Glad to have you, amazing viewer. I appreciate that you're spending your precious time at Comfort for Life Network. I'm bringing this video. It's a sad video, yes. I just want you to listen to what she has to say. I'll be giving my opinion at the end of the video, but interact with the video kindly. Can you relate with this? Let us know.
Over 50 years ago almost. And we still feel the pain of just wanting to go to McDonald's. I was raised primarily on 75th and Morgan. We, for a while, could not go past Ashland, and then we could not go past Damon. So about 10 years prior to this incident that happened to me in college, I was about 18, maybe 10 years prior. Everybody liked McDonald's, but McDonald's were not very plentiful in black communities. And they had finally built one that was kind of close, but not real close. And so one day I just got brazen enough. I had some money and I got brazen enough and said, I'm going to go to McDonald's. I did not ask for permission. I just decided I was going. My sister that's next to me, I put her on the seat of my bike because that's how we rolled back in the day. She rode on the back of my bike. And then I went and stopped by another girlfriend of mine's house, and we all decided we're going to go. But in order to go to this McDonald's, it was on 79th Street and it was past Damon. So we rolled down 76th Street, and instead of going over to 79th Street, which probably would have been better, we were kind of afraid of riding in the busy streets. So we kept going down 76th Street and we turned on a residential block. When we turned on the residential block, it was in the summertime, and all these white people were outside on their front yards and all of that. And all of a sudden we started hearing this chorus of niggas go home, niggas go home. I had never been called a nigga before, but I'm pretty sure I knew that was something bad. And it was scary the way they were saying it. But for some reason, I didn't know what to do. First, I didn't know what to do. My friend that came with us, she rolled off and left me and my sister. And I decided that I wasn't going to be no nigga that day. So I got off my bike. I put my sister behind me and I told her, don't move. My daddy had given me a chain, and it wasn't a chain like you go to the store and buy and it's all neat and stuff. He had cut it off of another chain, and it was to lock my bike up, and it had a lock on the end of it. And I took it, I unwrapped it from my bike, and I wrapped it around my hand, and I just stood there with my sister behind me because something was gonna happen, but I wasn't gonna be no nigga that day. So eventually, I don't know how I got the strength to put my sister back on the bike and get back on the bike. But we got away from there. And I went back home and I told my mother. And my mama put us in the car. She was real angry. But I don't know where the people went, because when we went back to the block, everybody was inside. I have never been so scared in my life. But I couldn't let nothing happen to my sister because my father had always drilled in my head that I had to take care of my sisters. And I think that's probably why I just stopped and stood there. I don't know if I would have done that if I had been alone. But even to this day, my sister and I talk about this. And this has been well over 50 years ago almost. And we still feel the pain of just wanting to go to McDonald's like every other child. Last time I told this story, I did the same thing. I just want to add this. I did everything I could and prayed so hard that my children would never have to be called a nigger, would never have somebody threaten them like my sister and I experienced. And I thought you all were going to make it. And it seems like we're going right back to that same place. Okay. And really not being able to process why are these people so angry with me? Why are they calling me this? Why wasn't I supposed to ride across the street anyway? Why? Nobody ever talked about that. I think that when I was growing up, black folks just accepted some things. This is just the way it is. And like I said, even, with the exception of this really, really poignant thing that my mom said to me at 10, which really, again, is one of those things I will never forget. And it did change my perspective to some degree. And of course, she followed it up with other things. She put me in charm school and, other things like that to try to help me. But yes, I think that if we hadn't been so afraid to talk about that, black folks were scared of white people. I mean, I grew up afraid of white people. I grew up feeling intimidated by white folks. I grew up not feeling like I was as good as they were. And if you hear a tinge of anger in my voice, I'm still mad as hell about that. Because I feel like maybe my ACT scores wouldn't have been as low as they were if I had felt like I had a chance or I was as good as they were. So yes, it should have been talked about. We should have been empowered. But it was the time. It was just the time. People were afraid. Because I did not make good decisions in high school, my ACT scores were very low. And I was able to get into school through a special program. But once I entered college, I really enjoyed the coursework. I knew I always wanted to be an educator. So after my first year, I went to declare my major, and they had actually wanted you to wait until your second year. But I knew I wanted to be a teacher. So I went to the Department of Education, and I will never, ever forget this as long as I live. And this lady, Marie Gunther, came to the counter where I had completed my paperwork. And she looked at my paperwork, and she looked at me, and she looked at my records, and she said, "According to your ACT scores, you shouldn't have lasted a quarter here." I was crushed. But I was determined. I couldn't, first of all, believe that anybody who was in the field of education, especially higher education, would say something like that to somebody. But this is racism. This is what it is, and this is what it's always been. But it inspired me to study extremely hard because the program that I was in was designed for me to stay there 5 years. I graduated in 4 years on the honors, on the dean's list. And it was a pleasure to go back and find this same woman still in this department and be able to slam my paperwork down on the counter for declaration of graduation 4 years after she made that comment. That was certainly one of the hardest things to deal with, but it also inspired me throughout other obstacles in my life. Probably because it just reminded me of other negative things that have been said to me that I, for a while, allowed to keep me down. I don't think I'm much different than some people when you encounter a lot of negativity. I experienced quite a bit of negativity growing up, and it really beat down my self-esteem for a while. And I guess maybe I just finally reached a point where I was tired of being underestimated and wanted to even prove to myself that I could do more than what people were expecting of me.
If you can relate with this, kindly share your story. Share if you feel comfortable. Imagine after 50 years, After all these years, this lady broke down, just telling her experience on how it was hard for her to even being a black person those years. And up to now, she's still seeing the effect of that. And there's nothing bad like something that had happened to you in the past and you see it happening to this day. So the pain that she's feeling right now, it's because the same thing is still happening to people right now. And it can be so triggering. Sometimes when we share video about racism, stop racism and stuff to do with slavery, people say this is a victim mentality, this is something that had passed long ago. Just imagine, listen to this lady. After all these years, she's narrating, just narrating. Imagine how she was feeling on a daily basis. I'm glad to hear that she had overcome, she had to love herself, she had to feel as a human being at the end of it all, and that's what we want. There's so many people who are still where she was. They're discriminated and they don't understand, where did they go wrong? Did I create myself? And I'm glad that she's a pastor and she's giving hope to so many souls out there. You've seen the contacts that the church goes to. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, share your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you so much. I appreciate that you spent your precious time at Comfort for Life Network. See you next time.